Hi, my name's Lieutenant Heckler. I'm a platoon leader for the Bravo Company detachment stationed here in the Fresno airport. I commissioned as an officer in 2020 through my college's ROTC program, which stands for Reserve Officer Training Corps. After about a year and a half of waiting, I was ordered to Alabama, which is where flight school is at, which isn't really just one school. It's comprised of a bunch of different schools that all more or less revolve around flying. So it's about a year and a half long, and only about the last 3-ish months are actually flying a Black Hawk. And even in that course, it's not just the same thing the entire time. You start out not so much learning how to fly, because that was one of the subsequent courses, but more so about the Black Hawk itself, how powerful it is, control touch, its systems and whatnot. And then after that, you go into what's called the simulator, where it's like flying a Black Hawk, but it's not real. It's just a big box with the same controls and like a virtual reality screen. And that way you can learn more about instrument flying, flying in the clouds where you can't really see anything, and the automated flight control system. After that, you move into nights, which you do a couple flights without any kind of aids. You're just looking with just your eyes out into the darkness of the night. You move on to night vision goggles. The reason for that is, well, it's a lot easier to see because of how the goggles are set up. You only have a small visual area. It's not like you can use your peripherals. So that itself is another 2 or 3 weeks. It's more like actual mission tasks. You're not just flying the helicopter anymore. It's what is this tactical maneuver and how do you perform it? Why would you perform it? And then after that, you have one final test to kind of prove that you can execute all of these maneuvers. And if you can, that's how you graduate the Black Hawk course. The Black Hawk's designation is a UH-60. The UH stands for utility helicopter. So its main task is really just being extremely versatile. It can transfer people, transfer cargo. It's an assault helicopter. Basically, if there's a job, it can do it for the most part. What that means for us here in the States is that we use it a lot for bucket training, or buckets in general, during wildfires, and even search and rescue. So when I say buckets, I mean dropping water on the wildfires. The buckets obviously are what hold the water. The reason it's special training is because most helicopter flying and cargo movement, it's a static load. It's the same thing the entire time. With dropping water, obviously you're emptying the buckets, and you're not really used to that kind of quick release of weight is really the biggest ordeal. We work very closely with CAL FIRE to get the same training they do, being around fires, flying near fires. There's special airspace that goes up around fires. And so because of all this special training, a lot of military helicopter pilots, once they get out, they have a wide range of options for civilian jobs. A lot of people will transfer into CAL FIRE because they already have that special training. But because we already have that experience, and the biggest part is getting flight hours, period, in any airframe, whether it's a Black Hawk, a Chinook, or literally any other kind of helicopter, you have to have those flight hours. Because being in the military, we have minimum flight hours per year. A lot of us will have that by the time we get out. So it makes for a smooth transition into another commercial part of the helicopter world. Another thing is, even though we fly helicopters, a lot of people will get their commercial fixed wing, which is just airplanes, license. And I really enjoy the flying because, there's so many different circumstances you can end up in. It's a different kind of challenge that you don't get in your day-to-day life. And especially given my full-time job is pretty boring, to be honest, and nobody really talks about it or knows what it is. It gives me something to talk about, and it does lead into a lot of really great opportunities. So if you know what you want and where you're going, and you have a general plan and how military flying kind of fits into it, it can be a great tool for anyone that wants to use it.